Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of Love Unboxed. I'm excited to have y'all here. Y'all know what the deal is, but I have another special guest for us. You see, one special guest has joined us already, but I would love to welcome Joshua Cruz to the podcast. Hi, Josh.
Hey, what's up, Manny? How are you? Hey, Love Unbxd.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm really excited to have you here. I know this has been also a while.
Yeah,
In the
long
making
time
for us.
coming.
A long time coming. And I'm really excited because I think you are someone who I've followed your journey for a long time. And so I know that you also just had a birthday, which we'll dive into in just a second. But I'm really interested to know, like, you know, where are you right now? Like, what's happening in life? What's exciting you? Those types of things.
Yes, well, thank you. Yes, I did just have a birthday. Excited to talk a little bit about that. Nothing big, but it is a milestone. I turned 35.
Mm-hmm.
The point of my life that I'm in right now is what I'm calling my unapologetic era.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very rooted in liberation for myself right now and for my people, for my community. And mostly I'm focused right now on providing providing some form of liberation through my own vulnerability, through my own story for other people to relate to learn from, to pull from. So I'm really in this place of like stepping into my most uncomfortable like shadows that I didn't face in the past, and now I'm just like, okay, like it's time. I'm 35. I'm still young, but I'm getting older, and I want to get to a place where I'm like, I don't want to care about no judgments or opinions or perspectives. I want to live life the way that I want to live it and what feels really great for me and what brings me joy. And so that's where I'm at right now.
Nice. And so, like, I love that because, you know, we get to a point in life where we are just like tired of the having to keep up with, I think, majority of what it is respectability politics, right?
100%.
It is, you know, having to conform to the norms of whatever the majority of the society like thinks, you know, how we should act, how we should carry ourselves, how we should present ourselves, and it's from their perspective. And I think it's really important, and I think it's beautiful when someone like comes to a space where, you know, I want to live this from my perspective, from my truth, and not from what everybody else or other people are saying that how it should exist, right? And so, you know, now that you have entered into the year of 35, what does that look like for you? What is 35 like? What are you excited about in the year of 35?
Being more naked.
Yeah.
So as you probably know, I'm leaning into this new like lifestyle of nudism, and I actually learned this or was brought into it by my current partner. The relationship that I'm in, I was exposed to this. He has been a nudist or naturist for a great majority of his life, and upon meeting him, I was introduced to it, and I was like, oh, like, what is this? This feels uncomfortable. This looks weird. Like, you're naked but you're not having sex, so like what's the point? And so being introduced to that and really learning about, well, naturism, nudism is really coming back to the body and really owning and loving your body for what it is, for where it is, whatever shape, whatever form it wants to take, whatever age it's at, you're loving it and you're embodying it and you're being in it. And nudism and naturism allows for like that extreme, because you're completely naked and you're showing yourself to the world or to whoever's looking at you and just saying like, this is me in complete totality and complete fullness. And it's either you accept it or you don't. But the point is for me to feel so comfortable in myself that whether you accept it or not doesn't matter, because I love myself so much that I'm able to express myself in this way without the fear of you judging me and putting me in this box that's going to make me feel like I should be ashamed of the way that I look. So that's what I'm most excited about, is continuing to lean more into what that feels like, that feeling of liberation, that feeling of being naked, not only physically, but also spiritually and mentally, saying like, these are
Mm-hmm.
my feelings. This is my beliefs. And this is how I want to live my life. And I'm going to continue to do that because I want to be able to live my best life in joy and in power. And the way that I do that is to be as vulnerable and open and free and liberated as I possibly can be.
Yeah. And with that liberation, it also comes with like pieces of us that we have to shed, right? That we had to let go of. And so what did it take for you to like enter into this space? Like what did you let go of? What did you come to peace with in the moments leading up to, you know, being able to enter into this new version of who you are?
I had to let go of really the anxiety and the worry about what people would say about me, what people's
Yeah.
opinions are, what their judgments are. Like you mentioned it earlier about respectability politics. That had a chokehold on me for so long, especially
Mm-hmm.
being a Black gay man, a Black queer man, because I think not only do many people, if not all of society, deal with respectability politics and the way that we're supposed to show up in society, but I think that there's an added layer onto us who are Black gay men or Black queer men, because we are already looked at differently within our own community because racism is coupled on top of the homophobia that we're already experiencing from society. And there is obviously racism within our community, and we are fetishized, we are overly sexualized, we are
Mm-hmm.
expected to be masculine. Still, we are even from the Black community who are, you know, I don't identify as queer, we are told that we are not real men. So there's all of these opinions about us and all of these perceptions and all of these ideas about how we're supposed to show up. And so I had to let go of all of that and say, like, me being my complete authentic self and the way that I show up does matter and it is valid. And just because I
Mm-hmm.
show up like this does not make me any less respectable, any less lovable, any less valid, any less worthy, because innately I am all of those things just because I exist. And
Yes.
another person's opinion is not going to create that idea about me because it's just already who I am. So I had to really let go of like, oh, this person thinks this about me, or they're gonna think this about me. Honey, they're gonna think shit about you
They're gonna think what they want to
regardless.
think.
You could be a billionaire, you could be Beyonce, and they're gonna
Uh-huh.
still judge you. So
Yeah.
for me, it's like I want to live my life to the fullest. I'm getting
Yeah.
older and I'm in this place of like, if I don't lean into who I really am and accept that and be that, I'm going to be miserable, depressed, anxious for the rest of my
All
life. And I'm
right.
going to be turning to the right and to the left all the time, thinking about what he's thinking, what she's thinking, what they're thinking. I don't want to live like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to let go of, and I continue to let it go because trust me, and you probably know this, and you can tell me your own experience of what it's like to kind of like let go of the expectations or judgments or opinions of other people. It's a constant journey, right?
Yeah. It's a constant journey. It's a constant journey. And it's a journey that I'm still like navigating, right? Because there are pieces that I'm still trying to let go of, like
Mm-hmm.
of an old life, of an old Manny, of who I like was, to be able to step into like this version of myself that I've been manifesting, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
it has been a manifestation for me to be and sit here and have this conversation, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, as I continue to grow as a creative, it's going to be really important for me to kind of like let go of like what people are thinking. And the space that I'm in right now is like people are going to talk, so you might as well give them something to talk about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you see me now like being a little bit more open and dare I say liberated with some of the content that I posted, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
on my Instagram, just because, you know, it is who I am. I was born into this, you know, society, and I'm going to exist in my fullness and
Yes.
who I am supposed to be, who God ordained me to be in
Mm-hmm.
this life, right?
Yeah.
Because like I think it's really important. I think when you become liberated yourself, you give other people permission to
Yeah.
liberate themselves as well at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I have had people like communicate to say like, I see you, right?
Yes.
Like and to have people say like, I see you, right? But I've also had people to say like, are you sure that's the type of content that you want to post? Right? You know? And I've said like, I think in a past life, in a past me, I would have been like, oh, I don't know, maybe you're right. But I was like, hell yeah. Like, why the fuck not? Who gonna check me, boo?
Exactly. Because what you gonna do?
What you gonna
Nothing.
do? I don't remember old girl's name, but she always says like, I don't know. What did she say? I don't know. I'm gonna say this because and can't nobody whoop me. I'm gonna do this because can't nobody whoop me. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's why.
Right.
And so I think it's also like those familial pieces that get like thrown into you deciding like, no, like I don't want to live my life in this way. I don't want to be silent anymore. I don't want to, you know, go down this path where I have regret around like, oh, my shoulda, coulda, wouldas, right? And so I understand why people are hesitant in doing that, but I will tell you, I feel the best I have ever felt in life right now. Right?
I love that for you.
You know, and so it's really, I think it's really important for people to, you know, find ways in which they can liberate themselves, find ways in which they can live authentically and truthfully in their lives in the way that they want to live it.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I think that what you shared was beautiful. And I think it's really important for people to, you know, go down that path as well.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in knowing, like, before you became to this space of being free, I will say, like, what's your origin story?
So we're going to get a little deep. Trigger warning.
That's okay. We can get deep.
Trigger warning for anyone listening. I probably will discuss child abuse, because that is a part of my story, but it is an important part of my story because it has led up to who I have allowed myself to become today. So when I was younger, I was sexually assaulted by a next door neighbor, an older man. And for many, many years, I held on to that. Actually, I had buried that memory so deep within my subconscious that I had forgotten that it happened. And that happened when I was 12, and it happened for maybe a year, a little over a year or so. And around the same time, my mother died. So my mother died, and then that happened to me. And so there was a lot of extreme big T trauma, as they say in the mental health world, that I had experienced. And so I carried that for the rest of my life. And there was a lot of other big T trauma that I had experienced throughout my teenage years as well. So I think because of all of this trauma that I was experiencing, that trauma of being abused as a child was so buried deep within my subconscious that I kind of forgot about it. And so in 2020, what had happened was the uprising of Black Lives Matter, and George Floyd was murdered, and we were inside because of COVID. So everyone was going through it. You know what I'm saying? Everyone was dealing with their own shit, basically, because we were trapped inside. We had to not only stay inside in our apartments and our houses, but we had to go deeper within ourselves. For many people, I think a lot of people experience that. So I started to remember things that happened to me when I was younger, because I went into this deep depression, and I was like, why do I feel like this? And during that depression, I was using sex as an outlet, and it was to kind of fill this void that I was feeling, or it was like a coping mechanism for me. And I was so distraught because I could feel that I wasn't having sex for pleasure. I was having sex because I was depressed.
Yeah.
So I got into therapy, and I uncovered that I was sexually abused. And when I remembered that, I broke down. And so and this was around, I think I was like 29, I think, or 30. And when I uncovered that, I was in deep depression. And I started to allow that person that had abused me to continue to have this hold on me. And so I was like, sex is evil. I can't post thirst traps. I'm bad. I'm garbage. I'm not worthy of love. Like, what is wrong with me? And so I was in therapy for a few years trying to get through this. And the therapy was helping. And at one point, one day, I was writing in my journal and an epiphany came over me. And I said, why am I allowing this person, who, by the way, is dead? So I never got closure from this person, never got to like report this or anything, but the person was dead. I said, why have I allowed this person to continue to have such a hold over me and my choices in my life? I am allowing this person to deprive me of the pleasures of sex, deprive me of the pleasures of freedom, deprive me of the pleasures of liberation. I'm allowing this person that abused me when I was 12 to continue to abuse me while I'm 30 years old. And I didn't want that anymore. And I said, fuck that. I don't want this person to have anything holding over me anymore. I'm letting it go. So I wrote it out, ripped the paper up, and I said, I'm done with it. And it's not saying, oh, I let it go and it like never happened and I forgot about it, but I came to terms with it. And I said, I have more power inside of myself to overcome this and to move forward. And I'm going to use that power to become the person that I want to be. And so for a long time, I was very much like, sex is evil, showing your body, like, it's not respectable. I'm not going to be respected. Men are not going to love me or want to be with me. I can't do that. And I shifted into this place of like, no, I am powerful. I am sexual. It is a part of who I am. It is my nature. It is part of our culture as Black people dating back to our ancestors. Sex is a powerful thing. And not only sex, but our bodies are so powerful. We hold so much wisdom. We hold so much energy. We hold so much beauty and joy within our bodies. And so who am I to not allow myself to experience that? And so once I let that go, I got to a place where I'm like, yeah, I want to be and do this. And it's not that I need to have sex. It's not that I need to show my body. It's that this is a part of who I am. And this is what is a part of my power. And I'm not going to let anyone steal that away from me just because they think that I have to show up in a particular way to be loved, deemed worthy, deemed valuable. And so that's what kind of got me to this place that I am at right now, where I'm like, yes, I am valuable when I have clothes on, and I'm also valuable when I have clothes off. It doesn't change anything. I'm in a loving relationship with a man that appreciates and loves me for exactly who I am, whether I have my clothes on or not. I am loved by my friends, whether I have my clothes on or not. I am loved by people in my community because I do work for my community. People might not see it. People may see it. But as you mentioned earlier, when you were talking about your own experience and liberating yourself, you've gotten messages from people that feel empowered by you. I get those types of messages too. And those are the reminders that I'm on the right path, because guess what? People like us exist. We don't all show up in the world the same way as everybody else. And so, as you mentioned earlier, we give people permission and representation to see themselves existing in this world, because guess what? A lot of us live in shame. And when we don't see that other people are living the way that we feel internally that we want to live, it's harder for us to be able to live that way because we don't think that we can, because we have to fit ourselves into these boxes. I don't want to be in those boxes anymore. And knowing that people are empowered and inspired by me living in my truth, and that they feel a sense of hope that they can also live within their truth, that empowers me to continue on my journey to being my full, authentic, and unapologetic self.
Yes. Child, you just said, you ate that down. I just really enjoyed what you just shared, right?
Thank you.
Because I feel like, one, that must have been an incredibly hard burden to carry for so long. And then around the age, basically in adulthood, having to let that go, right? Because you've lived pretty much, what was that? I'm not a math girl. So, 18 years, pretty much.
So
17,
don't
18
ask me.
years.
I'll get my calculator if you need it.
Let me tell you, where that phone at?
That was not my favorite subject, okay?
But you lived, for a very long time, like carrying that with you, right? And like, as you said, it impacted the way in which you navigated sex, but I'm sure also it impacted the way you navigated relationships as well, 100%. Right? And so I think that the way in which you went through that journey is so important to the growth and elevation for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that, you know, the sexual assault was something that was needed, right? For you to have that liberation for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and the way in which you had navigated that yourself and you chose to navigate that is something of extreme importance, and is really impactful for who you are today, right? And I think that, like, what you said is like, you're no longer living in a box where you are confined to the realities of what other people deem as, you know, respectable, right? And it's so hard to get to that space. Girl, it's hard.
It is very hard.
It's hard. You know what I mean? Because you see people do it in different ways, right? And like you said, like, we are essentially, what you were saying is that we're not monolithic, right? We explore this world in many different ways, especially as queer people. And oftentimes we don't have a blueprint. We really don't have a blueprint of how we should be doing, you know, this, how we should be navigating this. Being out and loud is still very, 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 very new, right? Homosexuality is not, but being out about being a homosexual is, right? And so heterosexual people have lived for centuries really being able to understand and navigate what that looks like for them, and pass down those traditions and those blueprints of what this can look like, right? And so something that you can use to guide you. But we as queer people, we don't have that experience, right? And so I think it's really important for people to explore their lives in the way that they truly want to explore them, because what it does, it helps someone else have a guide on how they may want to explore life as well.
100%. Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
I love that you're talking about exploration, because what I think a lot of people miss out on is curiosity. I think again, like, this whole respectability politics, or even trying to fit into society, really doesn't allow us to be curious. And when we're not curious, we are not able to discover what does work for us. Because as you mentioned, people find liberation in many different ways, right? And so as you as a person that is watching other people come into their liberation and come into their freedom, and you're watching different people do this, you're like, oh, like, I don't know which route to take. I don't know what's right for me. But if you are sitting there in shame and afraid to be curious about which direction you should take, then you're not going to find the right path for yourself. But allowing curiosity and allowing yourself to test things out, whether it's nudism, whether it's sexual liberation, whether it's anything outside of that, right? It doesn't only have to be rooted in that or about that. It could be even just the simple act of saying that you're gay. There are many gay men that are still either in the closet or discreet, which is, you know, if that's the way you choose to live your life, you know, I'm not mad at you, because we live in a society that attacks us for that, and quite frankly still kills us for it. Okay. So people being afraid to come out, I don't blame people for being afraid of that, because some people have a lot to lose when they do come out, and some people are not ready for that loss. It's really hard. So, but even the simple act of saying that you're gay, or even admitting that you have attraction to men, that can be a revolutionary act for yourself in and of itself, because you are finally saying, this is who I am, I accept it, and I'm now ready to tell the world. And it doesn't mean that you're out in the streets screaming, I'm gay, I'm gay, I'm gay, but it's like you're owning it and you're saying, I am this, I'm going to be this, and this is the path that I'm taking to my liberation. And so being curious and finding those different ways of exploring that is so important, because that is going to allow us to really understand who we are at our core. We can say, oh, I tried that. Nah, I didn't like that, but I love this. So I'm gonna continue this way. So I think curiosity is such a big, important way to discover who you are, and not being closed off to things that might feel uncomfortable, because guess what? Discomfort leads to growth. As cliche as that might sound.
Come on. Discomfort leads to growth, okay? And I kind of want to continue on this piece, right, around curiosity for a second,
Mhm,
because I do believe that a lot of gay men, especially like Black gay men or
mhm.
gay men of color, live through the lens of other people's experiences, of other
Yes.
people who look like us
Mhm,
experiences, right? Because there is that fear
mhm.
of coming fully out. There is a lot that as gay men we have to unlearn about sexuality,
Yes.
about acceptance,
Mhm.
and that other thing that starts with an M, masculinity,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
It is so important for us to figure out and unlearn what those things like meant for us and what it now means for us moving forward, or what
Mhm.
it means for you moving forward. I am
Yeah.
someone that had to do that and that exploration, especially around
Mhm.
masculinity, right?
Mhm.
I'm a butch queen down and I'm a proud
Period.
butch queen,
Me
okay?
too.
Let me tell you. And it took me a while to be able to accept that, because I see it as a way in which you necessarily really like carry yourself. There's an aura around masculinity and
Mhm.
femininity
Mhm.
that I can pick up on. It's the way in which you may approach like people, the way in which you may have conversations with people. It
Yeah.
is not always the physical appearance of someone, the material that they're wearing,
Mhm.
right? But it's
Mhm.
also what's in here, right?
Yeah.
Mentally, how they carry themselves. And so I've been someone who has been really curious about like femininity and
Yeah.
stepping more into the more feminine aspects of myself, right?
Mhm.
And what does that look like?
Yeah.
How do I communicate? How do I dress, right? And
Mhm.
so I think it's really important for us to, explore and be curious about like, those aspects of like who we are as well. I'm
Yeah.
not saying everyone should, be femme or everyone
Mhm.
should be mass, but like there are aspects of yourself that can be opened up
Yeah.
to explore and be more curious about what that may look like for you, right?
100%. I think that masculinity and femininity, there's a spectrum. I think that there's
Yes.
some people that fall more on the masculine side, and I think that there are people that fall more on the feminine side in terms of energy, in terms of presentation.
Yeah.
So I think that we all hold this as as you may have heard, uh, like feminine energy, divine feminine energy, divine masculine energy. I think we all hold that internally within us, and
Yes.
and as you mentioned, it is expressed in different ways. For some of us, it's expressed in the way that we walk or the way that we talk. For
Hmm.
others, it's in the way that they have sex. You may have this really masculine man who may enjoy being penetrated, and in the bed, they might present as more submissive, which we
Exactly.
correlate to being more feminine. So that it might show up in those different ways, right? It might show up in the clothing where you might have a more feminine person who likes to wear baggy clothes,
Yeah.
right? I think all of these different types of expressions in regards to masculinity and femininity are so beautiful. And I think that being curious and allowing yourself to embrace what that looks like for you is so powerful, because it doesn't
Hmm.
have to look like the extremes. It doesn't have to look like ultra feminine or ultra masculine. It can fall in between. And I think that is so amazing, because it shows you that you can hold so many different pieces and parts of you at once, right? You
Yeah.
can present the top half of you can present masculine, the bottom half of you can present feminine. And I love that, especially for myself. Like, I
Yeah.
love when I can mix both of those things together, because for me, it makes me feel more powerful, one, but for two, I feel like it makes me stand out. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I don't want to fit in, and it's hard to not want to fit in, because I'm going to tell you the truth. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I think to myself, oh, what if I was a little bit more like this? Like, maybe I would be
Mhm.
liked or more respected. But that's all that conditioning that we've had, the scripts that we've been told to read in order to be accepted in society. And so that does come up for me sometimes. But at the end of the day, again, I'm working towards liberation, and it means that I want to stand out in a society that has created these parameters for us to live within in order to be considered a good person of society, a good person,
a good Christian boy.
a good Christian boy.
So I want to transition us to something that you're practicing right now, specifically in the yoga space. So I know that you just launched your Nude Yoga workshop for Black and brown men. And so I'm curious about like what brought you here? Like, I'm ready to do this.
Yes. Well, as I mentioned earlier, got into nudism by way of my partner who actually teaches these nude yoga classes. So he's a certified yoga teacher. So we partner together in these workshops. He leads the yoga portion, which is the movement portion, and I'm leading the facilitation around the mental health aspect, the embodiment, the spirituality. We tap into each other's strengths, and we come together to provide a space for Black and brown queer men to experience an environment that feels safe, without judgment, with support, with the opportunity to, as we like to say, come back home to yourself. Because again, even with the clothes that we're wearing, when we want to go back to the conversation around masculinity, a lot of times we might put on these clothes that feel more masculine to present to the world that we are masculine, which we believe makes us more worthy. And so when we strip away those clothes, when we strip away all of the masks and the shields that allow us to exist within society and feel safe, we can allow ourselves to feel safe in a space in our truest self, which is completely stripped nude. And we can also come together as a community, as Black gay men, brown gay men, queer men. We can all come together as a community and truly see each other. And we can build intimacy in that way. And it's not anything to do with sex, because intimacy doesn't always correlate to sex. What it means is to see each other deeply, to look into each other's eyes, to hold space for each other, to say, wow, I feel this way. And sometimes it feels dark and depressive. I feel rejected. I feel unloved. And we can look at somebody else that is expressing to us that they also feel the same way. And we can actually see each other in that space for what that truly feels like. And again, allowing ourselves to be fully nude. We don't have to perform for each other. We're like, hey, like this is what I am, this is what I look like. It's not a performance. In sex, sometimes we're performing, we're erect and we're muscular, or where our bodies are looking the best, or we're in the dark, so it looks more sexier and erotic, which is beautiful. But again, sometimes that can be a performance to hide what we're actually feeling. So when we're in the light, when we're naked and we're not hard or erect, when we're not erotic in the sense of like we're about to have sex, we're letting down these masks and these shields, and we're allowing ourselves to be fully seen in our greatness. Even if you don't think that you are great, you're allowing yourself to be seen in your greatness, because guess what? Your body, your presence, your existence is great. And we want you to be able to see that. And when other people can see that are sharing a space, are sharing that space with you, they in turn may also feel the greatness within themselves. And I feel like this is a great way to build community, because again, we're allowing ourselves to be intimate with each other and see past this mask that we're putting up for society, or putting out on social media, as we do, because we want people to see our best selves. We want people to think that we're thriving. We want people to think that we're successful and we're in these great relationships, and that we have friends, and that we're dating and we have money. We want people to see that, because we're so scared for people to see that we actually feel lonely, disconnected, disempowered, and sad. And so I wanted to create the space for Black and brown men specifically to come together, because we are not offered these spaces. When you think about yoga and you think about spirituality, you think about these workshops that are allowing men or gay men to come together to experience spirituality, to experience enlightenment. A lot of it is always geared towards white men, white gay men. It's funded. They are funded. They are given the opportunities. They are the ones that are educated and experienced in these spaces. And we're not allowed to enter into these spaces, because guess what? Our safety is not being taken into consideration in regards to our identity as Black and brown people. We experience racism every single day when we step outside the door. And coupled on top of that is the homophobia homophobia that we not only experience from society itself, but from our own community as Black and brown people, right? And it's not to say that white gay men don't experience that, but when you walk out into the world, white gay men are so much more accepted as gay men in society than Black and brown men are, right? Because we are not accepted out in society, but also not accepted within our communities as a whole. So I wanted to create a space where we can come together to empower each other and to see each other truly and say, look, you're fucking beautiful, not because of your physical body, because I'm seeing exactly who you are and the softness of you, the joy of you, the inspiring parts of you, your dreams, your passions, your goals. Your touch is so itself is so empowering because it reminds me of, you know, how maybe my mother or my father used to touch me when I was a baby, and our soft skin, like our bodies hold so much power and so much joy. And I think that bringing us together in a space where we can move freely without the constraints of clothes, without the constraints of performance, we can actually see each other. And that for me is so important. So this is why I'm creating this space, because I want to, I have always wanted to be seen, right? Truly seen by my community. And this is why I've been doing this type of work for so long. And it has evolved into a space where I'm stripping everything down, where I can't hide at all anymore. I can't hide. Once you see me naked, this is everything. You know what I'm saying? And creating that space for other Black and brown men to experience, they're going to become more comfortable with their bodies and be more confident and be more joyful and be more seen, which in turn will help them to feel more seen within themselves, to feel more loving with themselves, to feel that joy that they deserve to feel. That is innately within them, and that is their right to feel.
Yeah. That's beautiful. You know, when you were explaining it and you were talking about bringing community together, when you were talking about expression, it had me thinking about also, which I'm sure as a proud Boricua, you watched the Super Bowl halftime with Bad Bunny. And I just felt like that halftime show was like so liberating for Latino folks, for Afro Latinos, for Afro Caribbeans. Like it was just so, it created so much of an experience around communities that have been so marginalized by the United States. And to communicate like, this is America, right? Like it was just such an important message. But also we got to see like two men gyrating on each other. You know what I mean? Like, and I caught it on a gag, and I was like, oh, yeah, right. Because it belongs here too. Right? 100%. We, in our experiences and who we are in society, belongs in this space too. And so I'm curious about like, what was your reaction to like the halftime show?
I loved it. The most poignant message for me was how Benito, Bad Bunny, showed all of the struggles that specifically us Puerto Ricans or Puerto Ricans on the island have had to deal with, even in the diaspora, all of the struggles, but still we are resilient. Still we are powerful. Still we are creative. We are loving. We are queer. We are incredible, and we have added so much flavor, as he said, so much sazon to this world, that none of the struggles that we have had to deal with have taken our power away, have taken our resilience away. We are going to stand strong in who we are always. And that's what I love about being Boricua. That's what I love about Puerto Rico, is that no matter what happens to us, of all of the things that happen to them on the island, of all of the racism and prejudice that we also have to deal with, even as Afro-Latinos, right? Even as Boricuas, we are still resilient, and we are going to still have such a powerful influence on the culture. And I think that's why, for example, Boricuas, Puerto Ricans, and Black people share so much in struggle, because Black people are resilient too. of all the shit that Black people have had to go through throughout the years and are still putting up with racism, systemic racism, all of the systems that have been built on top of or rooted in anti-Blackness, and still we rise, and still we are resilient. You know what I'm saying? So being Black and Puerto Rican, being Black and Boricua, Afro-Latino, I'm so proud of my skin color, of my hair, of the shape of my body, of the way that it moves, being able to just have the freedom of my soul move. Like I feel in that performance, I felt my ancestors. I was like, oh my God, like, you know, I see the dance of my island. I see my ancestors coming through the movement of all the people that are sharing in this expression of love. So that's what it was for me. We are resilient, we are loving, we are caring, we are powerful, and we are just so beautiful.
Yeah.
And it was so powerful.
And I feel as though, like, too, like, relating this back to especially what you're doing with your new yoga workshop for Black and brown men, or queer men. You know, I think about, like, people who think about, like, Black queer men, like, specifically around, like, liberation and sexual liberation. They believe that, you know, what you may be doing or what others may be doing who are similar is nothing but feeding into stereotypes, right? Or it's attention seeking, right? Or it's just provocative for the sake of it, right? And so I think about, like, having that level of representation is really important, right? Because it does actually tear down those stereotypes, right? It does actually, you know, really move the needle away from just attention seeking and getting into a space of, like, no, like, this is me being able to express myself in the way that I desire to express myself in a different way. And so, like, I'm curious about, like, what do you say to those people, like, at this point, who are still having that type of mindset around the liberation or the you curating this type of space in this community for Black and brown queer men?
So to be honest, I don't respond to negative or shady comments like that anymore. I don't feed into people's perception around me attention seeking or doing this for the sake of being naked. To me, and I'm not saying look, I feel like it takes a level of emotional awareness, emotional intelligence to be able to understand the work that I'm doing. And the other part of that is that I am no longer perpetuating this idea around that community does not exist within the gay culture or the gay community and that everything is rooted in sex. I'm not perpetuating that idea anymore because guess what? I am literally creating community for people, and I see that people are creating community by way of joining the community that I'm creating. So by me bringing people together, they meet other people who in turn they're creating community with each other, which then expands into further community. And so there's pockets, and that for me is valid as community. We don't, it doesn't have to be like, oh, everybody is in community with each other and everybody loves each other. And that's the meaning of community. I think community takes effort, and I think community takes accountability. And I think a lot of people are not willing to actually do that because they love the comfort of being able to be divisive, because it actually means that they don't have to face themselves. They don't have to face their insecurities. They don't have to face up to the perpetuation of the negativity that happens within our community. Me, I have found a way to create community in a different type of matter, in a different type of way than other people are creating community. But guess what? When people tell me that they're sick of sex being rooted in everything, or why do you have to take off your clothes? If that's your perception, that is everything that you're allowing yourself to see. Because I can name like 5 to 10 people that are creating community that has nothing to do with sex. And I follow them, and it's beautiful, and I love it. But you are not allowing yourself to find that space because you are so involved with the negativity that that continues to be dispersed within our community, that everything is about sex, everything is about being naked, no one knows how to talk about anything else. That's not true at all. But you're not allowing yourself to see past that because you're so comfortable in creating that divisiveness, because it means that you don't have to look within yourself to actually find the community that's going to help you to become the person that you actually want to become, but you're too afraid to become because it means that you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, maybe I am a little bit fucked up. What can I do to change that?
Yeah, that's a lot of inner work.
A lot of inner work, and many people are too scared to do that. And you know what? Sometimes I don't blame them because it is hard. It's difficult. And as we said earlier, it's a journey. You're not one day like, oh, I'm healed, and so I'm not anxious anymore, and I don't care about people's judgments. Sometimes I do get affected by some people's comments, and I do sometimes like sit there and I'm like, damn, that really hurts because I'm really trying to do something good for my community. I'm trying to help people heal and become better versions of themselves. And for you to reduce that down to me just trying to create sex parties, like it's like, it frustrates me sometimes. But then I'm like, I can't feed into it because my mission, my journey in my life is so much bigger than that one comment. And so then I what I do is I think to all of the beautiful messages that I get from Black gay men, Black and brown queer men that say, wow, I have felt this way for so long, but I'm too scared to say it. Seeing you be so open and authentic and unapologetic is giving me the strength and the power to say that I love my body, to accept my body, to go out and try and find community. Those messages is what fuels me and tells me that I'm on the right journey. And again, people like us exist, right? People like us exist in this world, and it's important for us to continue to create that representation because not everybody is the same. And that would be a very boring world to have everyone doing and saying the exact same thing.
I don't know if I could do that. I can't even be in spaces where the gays be doing and saying the exact same thing. Okay, like I just
it's
don't
boring.
Like it. It's boring.
I want to hear different perceptions, and that exists. You have to find it, and again, open yourself up to people that you wouldn't expect yourself to be close to. I think a lot of us see people and we're like, oh, like I would never be with that person, whether that be the way that they present, oh, they're too feminine, or they're too big, or or maybe they're too masculine, or oh, he gets around a lot, or even disabled people. We had in our first nude yoga workshop, we had somebody that was not able-bodied, and that was so incredible to have a person that wanted to create that representation and said, I'm not going to let my disability affect my opportunity to come into a space and share space with these other able-bodied Black gay men. And that representation is so important and can allow other people to see that that person deserves friendship too. That person deserves connection, and it shouldn't bar them. Their disability shouldn't bar them from the opportunity to experience what us able-bodied people can experience all the fucking time, which is being able to exist in this world without having to think about how we're going to walk up the stairs.
Yeah, and people don't realize that the ideas that you continuously think about for yourself, you continuously perpetuate, right, in society. So those same ideas that you're like, oh, we shouldn't do that, but then you go over into this other space and you project, that same experience, that same idea onto someone else. You're doing nothing but continuously perpetuating that idea. It's nothing but a cycle, right? And so I think it's really important for people to take a step back and look within and say like, oh, hold on, maybe there's some things that I need to adjust that I didn't think about like previously, right? And so I won't say it takes a healed person to do that, but it takes an intentional person to do that, right? It takes a lot of intent, and so I think a lot of people lack intent to be able to take those steps in order to be more accountable for themselves.
I agree.
But you shared a good bit in what you had just shared, and a piece of that was around too the mental health aspect, and so and the self-love, and you've done a lot of that work, whether that be aesthetically, that be mentally, emotionally, right? And so I'm curious about like what have you allowed? I'll say this. What's one thing? I don't know what's going on. What's one thing that, like, at this point in time that you are continuing to unbox about yourself?
Ooh, that's a deep question and an interesting question. What is it that I'm continuing to unbox about myself? I think there's a lot. So to choose one, I have to put some thought into it. Give me a second to think,
Take
because
your time,
because
girl.
what I what I what first comes up for me is love, and which is what we're talking about, Love Unboxed.
Right.
Um, in the way that I love somebody else. So yes, actually, I think I want to land on that. What I think I'm continuing to unbox is how I love other people, or how I love another person. What I'm
Yeah.
learning currently in my relationship is that I want to love my partner in a way that allows them to feel free, to
Mm.
feel like they can be authentic, that they can be unapologetic, that they can exist without feeling that there's constraints or restrictions on the way that they exist within this world. And that is a continuing unboxing, because
Yeah.
my perceptions around relationships and love have been so skewed, and I think that's that's for a lot of us, not even just gay men in particular, but just people in general, and the way that we believe love is supposed to look like, or what a relationship is supposed to look like. And so I think in the past I've held a lot of anxiety, and this is actually how we first met, because I did a talk around my previously self-diagnosed anxious attachment style.
Yep.
And it's funny enough, I'm not in that space anymore. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that I believed my relationship had to look a specific certain type of way in order for it to be valid. And I have let a lot of that go. And it has been through the work of myself, and coming to
Mm-hmm.
terms with who I am as an individual and how I want to be loved, and allowing myself to be loved in a particular type of way. So that is a continuing unboxing, because love is so beautiful and it's so powerful. Love is not necessarily complicated, but
Yeah.
relationships are complex, actually, is what I want to say. Relationships are complex. They are also, I feel like, a spectrum. They go in different directions, they grow in different ways, and I want to allow myself to continue to see the growth of my relationship and accept that it is growing in a way that might feel uncomfortable at first, but confronting that and saying, well, what is this discomfort? And am I uncomfortable because I'm afraid of losing this person, and because it's going to prove that I'm not valuable or worthy of love? Or is this a real belief that I believe in? So asking those questions are so important, because what I've learned is that most of the time my fears around what's happening in my relationship are rooted in me and my fear of losing that love, and coming to the realization that I'm not worthy of love, which is not true at all. But I think
Yeah.
we all have that fear that we are not worthy of love. So we do everything in our power to prevent ourselves from losing the love or the relationship that we're in, which in turn doesn't work out, because we end up trapping the other individual, which isn't love. Love is
Yeah.
not trapping.
Not healthy.
Love is not chains. Love is not constraint. Love is freeing. Love is
Yeah.
empowering. Love is joyful, right? And so allowing yourself to see that love as that will put you in a direction. What I'm learning is putting me in a direction to allow my love and my relationship to grow in a way that feels more free for the other person.
Yeah.
But that's hard work. That's that is
Wow.
every day I'm like, this feels uncomfortable. Like, what are we doing? Like, we need to talk.
Listen, communication is key when you are with or partner with
Yes.
somebody. Like,
Uh-huh.
you have to talk a lot of things
Mm-hmm.
out. And I think that was something that I can admit that I didn't do the best job of, because I am someone who is a processor. Right. So I
Mm-hmm.
have to process things
Mm-hmm.
and then be like, hey, because I understand like how I'm a Gemini. Uh, My words can cut deep. And so I had to learn quickly how to kind of like communicate how something like impacted me, because I would wait days to a week before I like brought up something that happened last week. I'd be like, you remember when, and they be looking at me like, what are you talking about?
Right.
I don't even know like that moment. I know exactly the moment because I remember everything, but like I had to get to a place where I had to be able to communicate, right?
Yeah.
And that communication piece is so
Very
important. And doing it in the moment is the
Yeah.
most important thing too.
Yeah.
Where it's appropriate, I will
Yeah,
say.
absolutely. The opposite is kind of true for me in that I'm very good at speaking and communicating my feelings, but I'm an Aquarius, so I always think I'm right. So when I'm communicating, I'm like, yeah, it happened like this, and this is what happened, and this is how it's gonna go, and it's hard for me to shut up and listen to the other person.
Yeah.
And so I've had to work on actively listening and not trying to interject because I think it's supposed to be, I'm like, I look at it from a logical standpoint always.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. Like it makes sense like this. And then I'm discrediting the person's emotions and what they actually felt, and logic doesn't always play into that. So I have to like take a step back and be like, okay, I need to listen more and communicate better. So yeah, I can feel you on the words cutting deep, because Aquariuses can be the same way in that we speak the truth, or we're going to tell you exactly
Fucking air
how
signs,
it is,
man. The fucking air signs. I don't know what it is about us. But I have really appreciated and enjoyed this conversation.
Me too.
It has really been enlightening to learn more about you, but also to gain a more I say a deeper understanding of what liberation can look like, what nudism looks like from your perspective as well, and how you're creating space for Black and brown men, specifically queer men, to exist in that space, to be able to build community as well, and to be empowered outside of something being sexualized. And so I just really appreciate this conversation. I thank you for being here, Joshua. Any last words, and let the people know where they can find you?
Yes. Well, last words would be exactly what we've been talking about. Continue to liberate yourselves, y'all. Continue to find the path that makes you feel most authentic and unapologetic, and stand 10 toes down in that, because as far as we know, we only have one life to live. And for me, I want to live the best life that is going to bring me the most joy. And that means liberating myself to a point that I am unapologetic in my expression. So I hope everyone can continue on that path. And if you need some inspiration, you can follow me on Instagram. My handle is at Joshua Michael Cruz. My YouTube is at Joshua Michael Cruz. And I'm also on Patreon. I have a free membership. I also have a paid membership that allows you into see a little bit more on my nudism journey. I also have a lot of mental health resources there, PDFs that you can download and do on your own at home. So this is a place where if you want to get deeper into your mental health, into your healing, you can utilize my Patreon as a place to gain those resources and implement that into your life. If you're interested about nudism, my Patreon is also going to help you to explore that, even if you want to take a peek and see what it actually looks like. Other than that, I have a workshop, another Nude Yoga workshop coming up in March here in New York City, which I'll announce pretty soon. And I am planning to do, you heard it here first, a retreat, but that's going to come next year. I'm building up to that, but I want to create a space for Black and brown gay men, queer men to come together for like a weekend mental health, spiritual experience to come back to yourself. So there's a lot coming up. If you want to follow me, please do. If you don't like me, that's perfectly okay. I love me. I have community that loves me, and that's what's most important for me. So much love.
Love it. And I just want to say thank you for watching this episode, for being here in this space and taking up space. I hope that you've been able to take something away with you and have been empowered by the conversation that we've had today. You can find me as always at I am Manny Made on Instagram and I am.MannyMade on TikTok. You can also stay connected to the podcast at Love Unbxd on all social platforms, and you can catch the full episodes on all platforms where you watch your podcast. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you for listening or watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.